Hi, Donny Dave here. I've decided that I need to sort out my Honda. The last time I went out on a TET trip, it didn't really work out because I had problems with the bike. So I've got to do the chain and sprockets and the front brake as a minimum. I have ordered a chain and sprockets from my mate Paul at Morris Off-Road, and that's just arrived. So I'm going to try and do the chain and sprockets. And I think the front brake is a buckled disc. I've had a look online looking for the discs. They're pretty hard to find. The genuine Honda ones are expensive and there's nothing on biker bits. And I haven't seen any in stock anywhere, so I'm going to try and straighten it. I know people do straighten mountain bike discs. So I'm just going to see if it'll pull back straight. I think I just bent it leaning on the disc, changing a tyre. So it's just got a slight buckle in it. So that's a separate job really, but I'll see how that goes. I was told by the Honda dealer that this chain is absolutely knackered. I mean, there are a couple of stiff links. So, I don't know. It looks pretty worn. The teeth don't look hooked particularly on the sprockets. They don't look too bad, but I'll take it off and see what it looks like. I've got a new one anyway, so I'm definitely going to change it. I don't know anything much about bikes, but I'm sure I can manage to do the chain and sprockets. I'm sure there shouldn't be that much play in the sprocket. Try my Oxford chain splitter, which I think I've only ever used once. That's the chain split. So get the back wheel off and then we'll have a look at that sprocket. I've probably said before, I don't know much about bikes, if I'm honest. Don't know a lot about them, but those sprockets, they don't look that bad to me. I mean, I only really know about sprockets on mountain bikes, really, I suppose. They just don't look that bad. Not to be making a banging noise, a knocking noise. I've seen worse. Yeah, I'd be expecting to see teeth pointed or hooked over or something like that with a really badly worn sprocket. Yeah, maybe that is bad. I'll compare it with the new one. Renthal chain, new bolts. I've gone for a 13 tooth front, I think. As it was a 14, I think I went for a 13, say on it. I would have thought, 13p, that maybe stands for that. No, there's wear on the edges, but not sure about that. So complete write-off versus brand new. I'll give that a clean up and then get this new sprocket on. It's got new bolts with it, with red Loctite on by the look of it. So I've gone for a 1342 gearing as recommended by Paul, because Paul's got a CRF 300L himself, one of his bikes, and that's the gearing he runs on his for the type of riding that we both do. I'm using the new bolts that came with this sprocket, but they are a different size. The Allen head is a 8mm instead of a 5mm, and the nut is a 12 instead of a 14. So I've better make sure that the toolkit I've got on the bike takes account of that in case I ever need to do anything in the field. I'm just tightening these nuts up opposites like you would on a car wheel, and then I'll go and find out what the correct torque settings are. Couldn't find anything in the book for the torque of these things, but one of the forums said 24 Newton meters. Sounds about right, to be fair. They weren't super tight when I took them off. I'm just taking the opportunity to clean and adjust, clean and grease these adjusters, because I have had these C's in my Triumph steel into alley, and it's a bit of a pain to get them out. So I thought I'll just whip them out and grease them on this while I'm doing it, and obviously I'll have to clean up and grease the spindle as well. I mean, I'm working on the bike in a dirty condition because that's how I got back from the last ride, so I'm having to clean the components as I work on them, really, which is not ideal, but better than doing it with a load of grit and dust. That's the rear spindle cleaned up and the wheel put back in. It's always a bit of a pain with those spacer things, keep dropping out when you're trying to get the brake disc through the caliper and all that, but managed to get it in, so now it's the turn of the front sprocket. Yeah, again, I'm going to have to give this a decent clean because it is pretty filthy, and at least I want to clean it up before the new sprocket goes on. That's the new front sprocket in place, and I'm going to put some Loctite on these fixing bolts. Nice shiny new Renthal chain, and hopefully it's the right length. Two different types of split link, presumably. Yeah, I think so. That's ideal. Yeah, the chain's a lot longer than it needs to be, so there's quite a few links to come out of that. So it's out with the grinder again. I've moved the adjuster screws well in, but I think the chain slack measurement is taken with the bike on the stand. Obviously at the moment the swinging arm's dropped, so I want to make sure I don't take too much off, so I'm going to just take it off where I think it wants to be, but err on the side of caution until I get it down its wheels. I can always take another link out, but I can't put one back in. Well, that's adjusted to 50-55mm chain slack measured through the hole in the chain guard, but that takes it well to the back on the adjusters, but I'm not convinced I can take another link, effectively two links out. But what I'll do is I'll put the adjusters right to the front and see how much there is to play with. Well, I ended up having to take another link out of the chain, which gives me still plenty of slack. The adjusters are fully up really, but by the time I've adjusted that chain to the right tension, they should be about right. Yeah, the chain slack is supposed to be 50 to 55 mil through the chain guard there to the swing arm, so I'm going to set this at 50 to allow for a bit of stretch. Chain and sprockets is now done, and the tension's set at 50 mil. Covers are back on, frame protector. The other thing, or one of the other things that the garage said was a problem, was a flat spot on the front tyre. Well, I just can't see any sort of flat spot there. I've just put a steel ruler across the forks just so I can look at the tyre. I can't see any flat spot. There's no missing knobbles, nothing that I would say is a flat spot. I just don't see that. Unless what they were saying is the tyre was flat. That's a different thing, because I'm running Kenda off-road tyres, K760 Trackmasters, but I run these with heavy duty Continental tubes with OKO dirt bike sealant in them, and I also run a rim lock so that I can run these at a lower pressure, so I can run them basically at 14-15 psi for off-road use. They may have said the tyre was flat and pumped it up. I'll have to check the pressure. I'm moving on to deal with another couple of issues with my Honda. The garage said that the front disc was bent, which I knew about, and I've had a go at straightening that. I haven't filmed it, but basically I just backed the pads off, spun the wheel, and with a marker pen just managed to mark up where the disc was actually slightly warped. So I just kept the marker pen a millimetre from the disc, and where it touched I was managed to find where the high spot was. It took a couple of attempts with a adjustable spanner, just wound down onto the disc, just tweaking it a little bit, checking the marking again. Basically just take the marker off with some disc brake cleaner, and then just keep repeating the process till I've got it fairly straight, or at least I think it's straight. I won't know until I go out and ride it to find out whether the brake is still pulsing or not. I've got the recurrence of a previous problem. I've got heavy duty tubes and OKO dirt bike sealant in this tyre, and I've found, certainly when I had the rim locks installed, that the tyre goes down because I think some of the sealant is stuck in the valve, and several attempts to pump it up, it's just kept going down this time. When we fitted the rim locks at Morris Off-Road, we had the same problem, but after 2 or 3 attempts it did stay up. This time it's gone down, so it's about time I changed that tube. So I've taken the wheel off the bike, and I'm going to have a go at changing the inner tube. I've only changed tyres a couple of times, so I'm not very good at it, and now it's got rim locks in, I wasn't so sure, but I have got a spare heavy duty Continental tube I bought when I put these tubes in. I carry the original standard thin one as a spare, just because it folds up smaller and it's really just for emergencies. So I'm going to have a go at getting the tyre off and fit this other tube, and I'm not going to put any sealant in it this time. Yeah, I've brought the front wheel of my bike into my man cave, a bit of an old conservatory on the back of my garage, just because it's warm in here. It is a really hot day. The idea being that the tyre should be a bit softer to get off, but I'm absolutely boiling in here. I could have just changed the valve in this inner tube. It would have been a lot easier, but it just won't unscrew. I don't know if it's cross-threaded or jammed in, but I can't get the valve out, which is a pain, because it means I've got to change the tube. But I do need the practice, you know. If I have to do this on the trail side, I've only changed the tyres a couple of times, and I've had the advantage of doing that at home, and that was hard enough. I am using this little bead braking machine just to support the wheel. From watching YouTube videos, the trick seems to be to make sure that the opposite end of the tyre is right in the well of the wheel to give you the maximum amount of movement on the tyre in order to lever it out. Unfortunately, with this tyre machine, I could push the opposite end of the tyre down with the bead breaker at the same time as levering on this side, so that wasn't too bad. Yeah, getting round the rim lock was my biggest concern, and that doesn't seem to have been a problem. I just loosened it off and managed to pull the tube out. Well, I didn't want or need to take the tyre off, but I thought I would take it off just so that I can check the inside of the tyre, make sure there's nothing sticking through, because I did have sealant in the tube, and I suppose there could be some small nail or something, and also just to check that the rim tape is in decent condition. One of the tips that I did see looking at YouTube videos on how to change tyres was to put some air into the tube before you put it on, which I have done, and also to use some I haven't got a proper tyre soap, but some washing up liquid and water to just lubricate the rim and the edge of the tyre when putting it on, so I'm also going to do that. Yeah, these tyres are directional, so I've made sure that I've got the tyre on the right way. I've got it on one side of the rim, which is quite easy, and I've put the little nut and cup washer on the inner tube, put some air in it, so we'll try and get the tube in. This is a lot tighter than I thought it was going to be here. It's pushed in to the void at the bottom there, so I can't see how I can give myself any more slack, and I don't want to pinch the tube. That's the main concern, is nipping the tube. I'm also not sure about the rim lock either. Better make sure that doesn't pop out. Screw that back on. I mean, this is a struggle. This is a struggle on a stand at home on a really hot day when the tyre's going to be soft. I really wouldn't want to be doing this trail side in the rain when it's 6 or 7 degrees C and the tyre's rock hard because it's freezing cold. You know, I'm bothered about pinching the tube now, and on a trail I wouldn't have a spare. Well, I'd have one spare tube, so if I got it wrong, that's it. It's scratching the shit out of my rims. Good job it's an off-road bike, innit? that's in anyway. See if I can get the beading line level all the way around, and then let's see if it holds air, because if I've pinched the tube it's back to square one, isn't it? Well, the tyre's up and holding air, but I'm really not happy about the position of the bead particularly. It's around here, it's not, it goes in there. It's the same at one point on the other side as well. So I'll let it down a couple of times, I think, and pump it back up, see if it seats. And kind of pumped it up to 40 psi and let it down again, and it seems to have reseated itself a bit better. So I'll try that one more time, and then I'll call it a day. Still there. At 32 psi the beading's popped out and it's level, but as soon as I reduce it to the sort of 16 that I want to run, it goes back in again. But I'm not wasting any more time on that, it'll have to do. So that's 17 and stayed in shape, so that'll do. The front wheel's back on, so I think I've done all the jobs identified by Honda now. So I need to test ride it, see if that pulsing's gone or improved, and if it has, that'll be good to go. So, test ride time. Well, I've just done a quick test ride and it seems to be okay. There might be a very slight pulsing in the lever, but nothing that's going to bother me. It's definitely better than it was. So it's new chain and sprocket, straightened out the brake disc, put a new tube in, refitted the front tyre. So I'm sure that takes care of any of the concerns raised by Honda, so hopefully I'll be able to get back out on the TET.